Started in eighth grade, honestly. In eighth grade, I remember picking up CLAT 2018 papers and trying to solve it, see if I could actually go through it. I wasn't very serious about it at the time, but I knew I wanted to do law. So. I'm Prem Parwani. I recently topped CLAT with AR 16. I'm from Karnataka. I was born and raised in Bangalore. Uh, for the most part of 2 years, ever since 10th, I've been preparing for CLAT, and here I am.
Okay, Prem. So, can you please take us through your journey? How did it start and how did you take it forward?
Started in eighth grade, honestly. In eighth grade, I remember picking up CLAT 2018 papers and trying to solve it, see if I could actually go through it. I wasn't very serious about it at the time, but I knew I wanted to do law. So after 10th, I decided to pick up law. I was trying to look for some help, some material, and once I got myself together, I had a study group with which all of us studied together. For the last 1 year, I'd say 1 year to 9 months of our preparation, it intensified there. We built up there with momentum, took a lot of mocks, and glad we all made it.
Wonderful. So Prem, I would like to know, what was your strategy with regards to resources? Did you consider and try out multiple resources across the internet, across Telegram, across YouTube, or did you just stick with a few standard resources throughout your preparation? How was your approach?
I would say that within the CLAT community, there are a standard set of resources. So when I joined SP as well, I took a bunch of SP mocks. I took quite a few of them. I almost every CLAT student knows. I tried to find as many resources as I could possibly find. I picked up as many as I could possibly find, and I took a lot of mocks. So I think at the end of the day, my final tally is I took 143 mocks, which is I don't think anyone has taken as much. So my strategy was, if I take as many mocks as possible, maybe I'll get it. So
also there is a factor of stress and tension while a person is preparing for this exam. How did you deal with this?
It was a very it was a turbulent experience for sure. I had my friends to uplift me when I had stressful days, bad mocks maybe. I had mentors as well. There were people I looked up to. In that regard, I would say the good thing about SP is that every mentor is personally invested. So they track your success. They check up on you. They ask you how you're feeling, how your mocks are. It's not just the academic side of your preparation. It's also the emotional, mental side of your preparation that they're invested in, which in my opinion is honestly more important than any academic prep you could possibly do. In that sense, take care of your mental health is one thing that's what I can say for sure.
The next question for you is, what was your attempt strategy during the mocks and during the actual CLAT exam? Did you improvise your strategy after seeing the paper, or was it the same which you adopted during the mocks?
It was more or less along the same line. So my strategy, what I did was, I think everyone adopted this in the end. All the people I knew who were preparing with me, they had these crazy strategies. I think some of them did quants in the middle, some of them took legal here and there. I took the paper as it came. So it started with English, GK, legal, logic, and quants, and I took it in the same order. There is one catch though. So what happened was, after I finished legal, it's a lot of reading to do. Once I'm done with that, I'm a bit tired of reading. I'm exhausted of doing that. So I might do one quant set and come back just to refresh my mind. It's not that I wanted to finish the entirety of the quant section there. If quants was easy, I'd do one quant set and come back. Luckily, quants was easy. So that's what I ended up doing. I did one quant set in the middle after legal. Then I finished logic. Then I came back to quants and I finished quants. My strategy was, my policy is this, and I still believe if it's possible, if your reading speed is good enough, attempt everything in verbals. There are some verbals that you're unsure of, that you might not get, but the way that verbals are different from GK is that in GK you may not have any idea what the question is at all. So you're taking a guess out of 4 questions there. But when it comes to verbals, even if you can eliminate one option, you're taking a guess out of 3 there. If you can eliminate 2, you're taking a 50-50 shot. So I'd say verbals should definitely be attempted as much as possible, and I attempted every verbal section in entirety.
So what was your material approach? As in, one should hoard a lot of material, look for a lot of material, or stick to a few sources and trust them in their preparation?
I mean, I would give conventional. Everyone would say that find small materials, stick to it. But honestly, how are you going to know what material is good for you unless you explored all possible materials? So I did end up hoarding a lot of material that I didn't use, but I think that's a part of the natural process. You end up hoarding material, you don't use it, but in the end, you find what's best for you and you concentrate on that. Only when you experiment with different material, you will know what to do.
So, Prem, the next question for you is, which were the subjects which you found the most difficult to deal with, like relatively difficult as compared to other subjects, and how did you particularly deal with them?
GK all the way. I didn't have a problem with any of the verbals. Cons was also fairly okay with me. I wasn't too bad in math. GK was the issue because it's unpredictable. You don't know how it goes. And in the very beginning, my general knowledge was miserable. I started out with, I got this kicker right after CLAT 2021. I saw so many of my friends, my seniors topping. And I thought that, okay, you know what, they've done this, maybe I should emulate them. Right after that, we kickstarted our study group and we worked on GK for hours on end. I think 5-6 hours a day, easy, went on GK. Like 95% of my preparation was just GK. I didn't really prepare for the verbals. And quants, maybe I did some solving, I learned some principles, and those also didn't really turn out to be useful because quants was just percentages and so on, all those basic concepts. So GK was definitely the toughest.
Also, you did your preparation along with boards. How did you manage it along with that?
I didn't. I initially took homeschooling. I decided that I wanted my focus to be lasered on CLAT, and that's what I decided to do. So at the very beginning of 11th, I dropped out of college. And I took up NIUS, National Institute of Open Schooling. It's a government-sponsored board. I picked that up and I studied at home. And the subjects weren't really strenuous either. I took up humanities, so it was easy. The theory was easy to memorize, easy to study. And last-minute study was also more than enough for that. So my focus was mostly CLAT. I didn't really put too much into both.
All right. So, Prem, the question which everyone is most eager to know about, the most awaited question is, how did Success Board help your preparation? What was the role of Success Board in your preparation?
I've said this before, I'll say it again. The mentors are personally invested. I don't think you'll find that anywhere else. You have mentors who are experienced from different NLUs and all around the country. And that in itself, the fact they have such a rich and diverse experience, I think it will be helpful not just during CLAT, also because they've gone through CLAT, but even after CLAT. Once you get in law school, there's a life after law school. And if you're going to other institutes, you're going to lose touch with most of the mentors that you know. But if you're friends with your mentors, with people you look up to, you're going to be in touch with them even after law school. And that's also a blessing in itself. And I'd say SP's GK covered a lot of ground. So you'd have a lot of institutes covering mainstream socials. You had general things, you had mainstream topics like IPCC, COP26, Afghanistan, AFSPA. So Success Board not just covered these mainstream topics, but it also covered some obscure topics. So we'd have a good roundup because there were some quite obscure topics in class. So say, for example, you have corporate social responsibility. I don't think anyone did well in that passage. So I'd say even in the mainstream topics, Success Board covered some obscure questions. So I think GK, the section which I was really looking for, in that sense, Success Board helped a lot. And you can ask doubts right away. So Success Board has curated a bunch of groups for all its students, and anytime a student puts forth a doubt, there's always a mentor to reply. And I think that's extremely helpful.
What is that one golden tip which you will give to your juniors, one or more, who are going to attempt for 23 script?
This is one thing I didn't realize until after I finished the paper, is that CLAT is 60% psychology and 40% preparation. I know quite a few students who prepared really well but succumbed to pressure on the last day. And managing anxiety is extremely important. Before the day of the exam, I could barely sleep for 6 hours. And for me, someone who sleeps 9 hours a day, 6 hours was not much for me. And I was quite terrified about that. Finding the confidence, finding the muster on the day of the exam, unless you have that, I think your preparation will go in vain. So having the confidence, managing your anxiety, taking care of your mental health throughout is more important than any preparation or GK strategy that you could possibly come up with.
So, Prem, now that you will be joining NLS, you're joining NLS, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What are your plans for law school? What have you planned as a career? Have you planned anything? corporate or litigation or judiciary?
I think I would leave that decision to my future self until I have more information. But I am very ambitious. I'm eyeing scholarships, and I'm looking at clubs. I'm excited to meet new people. It's going to be quite the experience.
Definitely, your ambition reflects in your performance, and Success Board wishes you all the very best for your future. So, congratulations once again. All the very best.